repeat again. In Pennsylvania, we have a closed primary. This means voters can only vote for candidates in their party unless the candidate has cross-filed. A cross-filed candidate will be on the ballot of both Republican and Democratic voters. This panel features candidates for Magisterial District Judge District 17301. There are 3 candidates running for one position in this race. The candidates are, on the far right there, Kathleen Lincoln, a Democrat, Jeff Rao, cross-filed, and Edward Zich, also cross-filed. The initial questions for this panel will be from the league. The remainder will be the questions that come from the audience. And as you can see from the last panel, we need you to start getting those questions moved up here. So hands up, we'll get you a card, hand up with the card, and somebody will pick it up to get it to our screeners. We encourage the audience to ask questions on a variety of topics. Your questions will be collected, and please submit questions for the candidates who are up front at this time. Do not direct questions to individual candidates. All questions must be for every candidate on the panel. Now, for this portion of the forum, each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. Opening statements will be followed by questions from the league and then the audience. Each candidate will have 6 seconds to answer questions in turn. Each candidate will then 60 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute to answer questions in turn. Each candidate will then have up to 30 seconds for rebuttal. A candidate may choose to pass on a rebuttal. The rebuttal will be given in the same order you answered the question. The candidate answering first will rotate with each question and rebuttal. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. A reminder for this panel also, you will get a 30-second reminder and then you will get a stop sign, finish your sentence, and stop, please. We will begin with opening statements of 2 minutes each. Ms. Lincoln?
Thank you. Good evening. So I'm Kate Lincoln, Kathleen on the ballot. My friends call me Kate. So I'm a local attorney. I've been practicing law in one form or another since 2010. I've been asked to point out differences between myself and my opponents. I think a glaring difference is I'm the only female on this panel, and historically I'm the only female who has launched a campaign for district magistrate in Lewisburg. I think that's really important in Lewisburg because Lewisburg is known as the most progressive municipality in the region. Also, according to census data, population in Lewisburg is comprised of 55% females. Yes, yet we're disproportionately represented in the judiciary and in other areas. I'm focused on the judiciary tonight. We're starting a new administration after 39 years of loyal service from Judge Armbruster. Those are large shoes to fill. I would ask, why not put a female, especially a qualified female, in the office of district magistrate and show Lewisburg and the region that we are truly progressive. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up in a family of 10. My father was one of 21. My mother was the oldest of 11. We weren't rich, but my parents demanded that we work hard and get an education. So I started my work experience selling tires and lottery tickets, got some college classes, and I decided to go to work in a social service industry. I've worked at Bucknell University, developing community service projects for the community and university students. I received my law degree and started working as an attorney as the only Union County Assistant District Attorney here in Lewisburg in the Office of District Attorney. I've worked as a public defender, an administrative hearing officer. I do pro bono work for disabled and abused children, as well as protections of abuse. I work hard to resolve community disputes that flow through the Office of District Magistrate, and I would ask for your support on Election Day. Thank you.
evening. My name is Jeff Rao. A little bit about myself. I'm born and raised here in Lewisburg. I left the area to get an education and start my career. My wife and I chose to come back to raise our children here. And I'm running because I want to continue my parents' fine example of community service. My late father was a police officer here in Lewisburg for 28 years. My mother worked for Evangelical Hospital for, well, a longer period of time than she'd probably like me to mention. During the time that she was there, she established the first sexual assault nurse examiner program in the state of Pennsylvania. They've set a great example, and I would like to use my skills to continue that tradition. I've handled every kind of case that a magistrate sees, and often from both sides. I was a public defender, and I was an assistant district attorney. I've handled landlord-tenant cases from both sides. In the civil arena, I've represented big business, small business, nonprofits, government entities, and individuals, of course. Regarding PFAs, I've represented victims of domestic violence for free in protection from abuse proceedings for 7 years. I've handled the occasional traffic ticket and local ordinance violation, and even a few hunting law violations. Not that I think Leo sees too many of those, but I even did a few of those. In my career, I've appeared before about 35 different magistrates in 10 counties, 12 courts of common pleas, all of Pennsylvania's appellate courts, the federal court for the Middle District, and the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. I've seen a whole bunch of ways to run a courtroom, and I've had some experience putting my ideas into practice. I served in a judicial capacity as a mental health review officer for Lycoming County. I was appointed to that position by the president judge, and I preside over involuntary commitment hearings. And now I have to stop.
Good evening, my name is Edward Zitch. I want to just briefly talk about my background and experience. I practiced law for 29 years, a few years in Philadelphia at a large firm before I came to Geisinger. I spent 22 years with Geisinger, and the last 12 of those were as the Associate Chief Legal Officer, the second highest ranked attorney in the entire organization. While I was doing those things, I also ran for and was elected to the Lewisburg Area School Board. I was on the school board, actually with Mrs. Brous, for 10 years. 8 of those years, I was the vice president. And I retired last fall and began volunteering with the Area Agency on Aging, as well as was elected to the Green Dragon Foundation Board. I think that the qualifications for this position are more than just a resume. I think that what you need to do is look beyond just the professional side, and what does the personal side bring to the decision making. I think that a judge should be honest, straightforward, hardworking, dedicated to the community, and bring a sense of maturity to the position. I think if you take a step back and say to yourself, what do you want in a judge? Someone who's going to make a decision. Would you trust your important legal issues to a candidate up here? And if so, which candidate? You have to decide. And part of that, I think, is to recognize what it is the individuals are bringing to the table beyond simply their professions. Thank you.
Question 1 now comes from the league, and we will begin with Mr. Rao on that question, but just I'll give it to you here in a second, but yeah, you'll take